announcements. Action taken in closed session. Student matter, Government Code 54962, case number 1920-1220, to uphold expulsion. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Salute, pledge.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we approve the agenda, we'd like to pull special presentation 9C and action matter 17C. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda removing 9C and 17C.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we move forward to special presentation. We have Norte High School Visual and Performing Arts Department.
Should have a presentation here.
Did you send it to me yet?
Yeah,
Oh.
both. Yeah.
Is it that? Oh, wait. Refresh. Hey, there it is.
Not on Google, it doesn't exist. So I'm Dan Sedgwick. I'm department chair for Visual and Performing Arts at Delmont High School. Here's the presentation. Awesome. And next slide. That works. Here's all the mug shots from the year for our ID badges. So here's the staff at the high school. So Katie Pena is our dance teacher, Jeff Hank and Andrea Nickerson, art and photography and theater, then me, and then Jill Dubry's our accompanist, playing piano for the choirs. Let's see, theater production and theater arts. Currently there are 2 sections offered, but it's during one class time, so theater arts and theater production are in the same class. Andrea Nickerson has been doing a great job keeping it going after Debbie Scott, but she's leaving at the semester. So the current update on that is we have a sub in place for Monday and hopefully a long-term sub coming very soon to keep that continuity going. It is super important for the arts especially to keep continuity going, otherwise it takes 8 steps backwards and 4 years to recover. But they do a performance at DNHS NPR this Sunday. I'm not sure the time. I'm sure it's a matinee sometime in the afternoon though. So,
I think we sent out information on that, Dan, so we can send that out again if people
okay.
don't have it.
Yeah, I just didn't see it in my email, but it's been a busy week. So here's just a few shots of the cast members of their current production. Let's see, art, Jeff, Hank, and Andrea. So we have 5 sections of draw and paint, art 1, and then art 2, 3, and 4 is all in one class that Jeff Hank teaches. And then Andrea has been teaching a textile arts class. And then I have some photos on the next slide here. So these are actual photos of the artwork of some student represented art. Then there's some from the photography class. And that one's really cool. I like that. Let's see. We have an amazing dance teacher, Katie Pena. She has 3 sections of dance 1, stays very active. Let's see, 1 section of dance 2, 1 section of dance 3. They just had their winter concert at Crescent Elk. Their theme was musicals. I wish we could have collaborated more on that. We just did Greatest Showman like 2 years ago for graduation, and that would have been really fun. But here's some photos of their winter production. There's a whole billboard back here too if you want to see more photos. So yeah, there's that. That's my favorite right there. Good music. And of course music, that's me. I have a lot of different classes. We have 3 choirs, a performance choir, which is a beginning choir. That lasts 1 semester. At semester we switch to a guitar class, beginning guitar. And then 2 audition choirs. We have an audition treble choir, which I'm slowly trying to have some guys join that group, so there's a place for guys to go at semester, because right now there is no place for them to go. So hopefully turning that into a mixed group, just like Madrigal is my top audition group. We have a stage band before classes during the A period. We have a steel band after, and then marching band and symphonic band are technically the same class. It just kind of depends on what season we're in, and of course this season lasted a little bit longer than most. So here's just a few photos of what we've done this year. Of course, our Madrigal dinner, which is in its 24th year. Here are these students. And here's me with my lovely green hair at that event. It was worth it. And then these are the seniors for marching band from senior night. We do this tradition where I always take a selfie and try to get them all in there. It was really fun. Needs, a real performing arts center. Can I have 20 million? Now we're working on that. Always the ask, sustaining funds for all of VPA, not just music. A lot can be done if we had that. I'm going to advocate for theater for a second. We have one theater class, and with Andrea leaving, I can't say this enough, it's going to be 4 steps backwards. Even with a transition, like for me, when I came here 12 years ago, Christy Lynn left this program in the best possible state, had me come in April, meet the kids. I conducted a graduation before I was an employee here, and I still took a half step backward with that program because it's just I'm someone new. It's not Christy. And I've heard it for years. I think I still heard it up to like 2 or 3 years ago. Oh, that was big shoes you filled. I still hear it. And now that theater is down to 1 class, and we're the lack of continuity for the any elective class, it's going to take a hit. It's going to take a long time to come back. We just did a collaboration with a musical 2 years ago with Debbie Scott. That's not going to happen next year, I guarantee it. So more theater classes, at least separating out the beginners and the production class. And hopefully getting the set building and tech class back eventually too. And then I promised Katie Pena I'd put this in here. Our only theater is Crescent Oak. And they just did their winter dance concert this past weekend. I have a concert in there on Saturday night, and it needs to be painted. I'm just going to show the photos here. It looks like that. And I know everyone's busy, but I mean, just fixing the front seats or the seats that are broken and getting the wall back to where it was. I'm not even sure what happened. It looked maybe the wrong paint was used and it just kind of flaked off. I'm not sure, but it's a little embarrassing for the community to come into the only theater and have it looking like that. A lot of TLC is needed in there, and I know that can't happen by Saturday, but
it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
And it's our only theater, so there's nothing we can do, but hopefully painted. So anyways, I don't want to digress, but I promised I'd bring that up. State of VPA at DNHS. The arts always need support. As elective classes, we are constantly having to self-advocate. We can't, math class, a kid has to go. Our classes are always, they choose, and there's a lot of choices, more than ever at DNHS. Theater needs support if it's going to thrive. Crescent Oak is in sad shape, and it's our only place. However, the silver lining is I really feel that the programs are exceeding expectations with what we have, with the current resources. So music's pretty healthy, dance is very healthy, art is very healthy, theater needs that support, and we need to get a teacher in there ASAP for that. I do want to just throw this in here. I know everyone knows about this. It's been all over Facebook and then now through the school district.
And on the radio.
And on the radio. I was on the radio this morning at 7:30. So Nick Rail is a person who grew up here in Delaware County, graduated in 1968. He wants to give back, and he has no kids, and he is chosen here. And this is the first step in many. He has not alluded to many things past this that he wants to say publicly, but this is step 1 of many. There's going to be a presentation tomorrow night at Mary Peacock where he's donating 100 instruments and roughly about $75,000 towards the music program. I don't know what to call this, if it's serendipity or fate or karma. I worked for Nick in Santa Barbara from like 1999 to 2003 while I was in college and traveling back from HSU and visiting, and a little bit in high school, yeah, and visiting home from college on the breaks and whatnot. And I did not know I was going to get the job at Del Norte County, and Nick didn't know I was going to get the job at Del Norte County until I said, hey, I got a job. This is right after finishing at University of Oregon for my master's in about 2006. I got a job. I'm working in Del Norte County at Del Norte High School. And he immediately goes, in Crescent City. And I'm like, how do you even know where that is? Because Santa Barbara and Crescent City is a big distance, and I know his rental area and repair area did not encompass that far. Yet, it does now. So I worked for him, and he I just remember the situation so well. He said, in Crescent City, I'm like, how do you even know? And he goes, well, I went to high school there. And now here we are 12 years later, and this is happening. And this is one step in many. I encourage everyone to come. It's open to the community. It's a chance to meet Nick. It's a chance to meet Lisa Rail, and kind of just celebrate what we're going through. What Nick is doing for us is more than my booster club could do in 20 years. I mean, it would take, to allocate that much money, it would take that long for my booster club to fundraise that. I'm lucky if I can buy one good instrument at the end of each year with my booster club. And what Nick is doing is basically giving us a leg up and be able to compete with other districts that get more to their programs. I can't say enough. It's amazing. I hope you all come. I sent you all an email. Please come. Please come. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. Yeah?
So he donated 100 instruments.
Yes.
How is the departments in the district planning on?
Like who got what and
Yeah,
why,
I was
how?
like, it's not all the way to the high school.
No, and that was there's no point in that. They have to build all the way up and up and no. So every teacher, because there's multiple sites that some teach at, every teacher gave a wish list, and we talked and we narrowed it down. I was a huge advocate for Crescent Oak getting some of the large percussion instruments because they have very little over there. Have like some basic mallet percussion stuff, so they're getting marimba. We will now have 2 marimbas in the county. I have 1, Crescent Oak will have the second one. And they're getting some a real set of timpani, so that those timpani can then shift to another site. So we all kind of, we haggled a little bit. I mean, the wish list was originally like $170,000, and we kind of just, whittled it down a little bit. And no, we kind of worked it out, and kind of each teacher had their individual needs. So, yeah. Any other questions?
So Dan, could
Yes.
you talk just a little bit? I know you and I worked on, Nick called you about the repair shop.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit about how we're trying to connect CTE and music? So kids
I
can
would
both?
absolutely love to. I wasn't going to bring that up because I'm not even sure it can happen next year or not.
Right.
I'm so hoping it can. So one of the first donations in between the 12 years that I've been here is he knows our situation. We're isolated, and it's not financially or time prudent to send instruments away for repair because it takes a month and it costs $100. We don't have that money. So I've been slowly over the years kind of gaining some more skill sets in the repair area. I worked for Nick. I worked at the repair shop at a store for a number of years. Granted, I wasn't doing the heavy, the major overhaul stuff, and I know my limits, but I'm hoping to one day have a repair class because he bought a music store out in Southern California. They were closing their doors after 35 years of business, and the repair shop is now inside my classroom. So we have everything we need to repair stuff, just not the time or the money. So I'm hoping that we can start a CTE element and have a repair class at the high school. And I think it could be a huge advantage to our department and a skill set that the students can use later in life. And the starting salary for instrument repair tech is $47,000. Go get it. Why not? So I'm hoping. And Randy and I are in talks about that right now. And Tom, thank you, because you helped out with that. Any other questions?
Any questions? Any questions from the public?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Hope to see you tomorrow night.
We have the Redwood School Principal presentation. Lisa, thank you.
And Nick Rail also went to Redwood Union High back when he was first started. So we want to be there tomorrow night to support him as well and thank him for those donations. So I'm Teresa Slayton, principal of Redwood School. This is my 6th year there, my 29th year in education, and excited to be the principal at Redwood School. It's some tricky times right now, but I think it's really important time to really thank everybody who's here. So, and I really do appreciate everybody. So I want to say thank you to the amazing staff, because without the staff, we couldn't do our job. And I'm talking the classified, certificated, everybody. We've always said we're a big family at Redwood. We really are a big family there. We have about 515 students, K-8. We have a very involved school site council who is varied, and they help with our goals, help spending our money, and who are a big part of our school. PTSO, also amazing part of our school, have been really instrumental in building our culture and climate. We did 12 days of Christmas where we had gifts every day, and really wanted to come and show their support and are there for our kiddos. We have 150 leadership students. That's where we have kids who are safe, respectful, and responsible in all areas. I'm handing out 8 more leadership badges tomorrow. We have early literacy with Deborah Wakefield and our reading heroes. We have Callie Reads for our middle grades now, which is going really well. We have after-school tutoring with 12 certificated teachers. I choose to spend our money that way, 2 days a week. We have teachers working after school with their own students, and we're finding that is really valuable. We also have an American Indian tutor helping as well. So we're getting probably about 75 students to 80 students right now, getting them extra support after school. We have a wonderful music program with Crystal Berry. We have dance with Leah Westbrook, so definitely the arts are very important. I do have an artist daughter, so I do think the arts are very important. Big buddy programs, we definitely are active with our volleyball, soccer, cheerleading, boys basketball, girls basketball, track, rad dads, which we have 10 active dads who are on campus every week. Some days we'll have up to 4 of them helping out, being extra eyes, and also real positive influence with our students. Lots of family engagement opportunities. Redwood Carnival, we sold 11,000 tickets this year for our Redwood Carnival, so it's huge. We had a couple thousand people. I mean, it's a big thing. They get a dunk in the dunk tank if it all goes well and approved. And we also have Christmas programs. We had 2 of them this year because we're so big. We did one Thursday night and Friday morning where we had hundreds of kids, our parents at both of those activities. Our marathon, our graduation. We have a large Native American population, so we really have gotten involved with our American Indian Club, Title VI tutoring, and lots of cultural activities happening. We had Mr. Nova come over and do some activities with our students as well. So, attendance is a big thing. Right now we're hovering at 96%, so we're close to our 97% goal. It's something I talk about every Friday at our assemblies. And we've had a lot of sicknesses lately, so I'm thinking it's going down a little bit. But we do weekly attendance banners. I announce it every Monday when we do our morning announcements. And we do trophies every month for the students who have the classrooms with the highest attendance rates, popcorn parties provided by our PTSO. I did about 50 drawings last year, so with swag, sweatshirts, hats, yearbooks, bikes, I get real excited about attendance. We do our winner chicken dinner every monthly. So kind of give something to the parents so they don't have to cook. And we get people in and try to keep our kids coming because we do performances and awards every Friday. We do something to kind of keep everybody wanting to be there and be engaged. And I think that what's real huge is our welcoming environment. So we have Mr. Lund every morning on the curb, myself, Miss Merriweather, Mr. Berry. We have our custodian out there, we have our nurse out there, letting everybody know that we're happy they're there. And Miss Skeen, who's been at our school for 38 years, in the breakfast room, reminding the kids, hey, it's, yogurt day today, or whatever. We do pizza parties. I'm bringing donuts from Mrs. Cup's class tomorrow because her kids earned perfect attendance, so they'll be earning that tomorrow. And I've probably made about 200, 250 phone calls home, just positive phone calls. I call when students get an award, what's called the Principal's Award, if they're just having a great day, being really engaged, they send them to the office, they get an award, they get a pencil, an eraser, and a positive phone call home. And I think that the more positive phone calls and the more the parents feel real comfortable and the kids want to be at school. So that's what we do for attendance. Our CASP data I was really excited about. We beat the district average in all areas but one in 4th grade for ELA. And I was super excited about that number because in 4th grade we have 2 brand new teachers who worked really, really hard and got 36% met or exceeded. And I thought that's phenomenal. And working with Louise and having lots of support from our teachers here in the district. So we rose in, and great scores in our ELA. Same thing in math. I'm good with math one. We exceeded the district average in all of those areas, and so our students are doing really well. Our teachers are working really, really hard for those numbers. We worked very hard in math as well, and I think doing that after-school tutoring has been instrumental, and also keeping kids at school because you can't teach if they're not at school. So we're real proud of our CASP scores this year. This is our Ames web from last year, early literacy stuff. I have some from this year, but it's just the beginning of the school year stuff, and it's not too exciting right now. We had about 73% hit their Ames web literacy marks. We have some still in the yellow, which was where they're kind of getting close to it. And then the 16.9% of the students who are tier 3 who need extra support. And those are the kids that we target for tutoring. And so we know those students going into the following year. So these are the students we targeted for the beginning of this year. And some of those students are already on IEP, so they're getting that help. But the other students were into tutoring. Same thing with math. And our math score is a little bit higher. As you see, 76% who've met their benchmarks or who are in the tier 1, so they've met everything they need to. A little bit in the yellow, those kids are right there on the cusp, and then our students that we targeted for the beginning of the school year. Our dashboard, we went from orange in math and in ELA to yellow, so we've increased there. So feeling really good about that. And increased by 13 points in math. It was a big increase. Suspension rate, we went down slightly, but in 2018 we had 1.7%, and this year we had 1.8%. So it was just by that much, so it was probably a difference of 1 day suspension. So some of our goals that we're looking toward is creating a STEAM lab. Mrs. Long, is she still in here? Oh my gosh, she's going to be the next grant writer. So she's got about $13,000 for us, and this is so our dream can come true. We've got a list right now. We're getting ready to make sure that it's good through Ryan, and so that they can help sustain some of the stuff we're getting to create our STEM lab in our math lab. And Wild Rivers, Rotary, Elk Valley, Coast Credit, Sun Caldwell, just partnering with everybody, going out there, really beating it. She took a group of kiddos to Rotary, and they participated in a science experiment, and were very generous to us. We're also wanting to staff the STEAM lab and provide more after-school tutoring is one of our big goals, because I have exactly down to the penny. If I start right after conferences and I go right until the beginning of testing, I could just about make the money last. I might go a little behind. But I like to do a little bit more. I like to start right off in the fall and really catch them and get more kids, because the kids can kind of, as soon as they come up to where they need to be, then we get them out and we bring more kids in. We want to continue our MTSS work. We took a group this summer. We went to Long Beach, and that was a great conference. Very thankful to get to go. And also continue our safety PD. We have Matt Berry, who was doing our last, we did 2 hours after school triage, and we had the ambulance there and worked with that. And then our needs, our special education teacher. We needed one all year, but super, super thankful that Kathy Haggard has stepped in as a veteran teacher at Redwood School and is really been amazing. Jim Lund has stepped up and taken a lot of kids and worked together so that we can do the best that we can for our kiddos. Nick LaFazio helping us with the IEPs, Marissa Lee, amazing psychologist who's really been helping facilitate our IEPs as well. Alicia Beers and Kim Merriweather, our brand new counselor, wonderful counselor, super thankful for her. And of course the classified staff who's hung in there with us, and our certificated teachers who had to work extra hard to make all this work. The other needs are playground equipment. We have 9 swings for 500 kids and a slide, and we used to have another structure that got burnt down, and then just a set of bars. It's not very exciting on our playground. We have a great kindergarten playground, so something that we like to do is build up our playground for the big kids. Also, I'm super excited. We have our first camera. So it's the last couple of years I've come with our needs to get cameras, and we got one. We have about 50 more that are supposed to be on the way, I think, at spring break. So I just really want to thank Ryan and IT and everybody, because that's been something we've been asking for a while. And then just some of our family engagement activities. We have our weekly assemblies that everybody is welcome to and invited to. I call parents and have them come, and so do the teachers. The teachers make those phone calls home as well. We have our rad dads who we're getting some gifts and some acknowledgement at one of our assemblies. Just love having them on site. Our Halloween carnival, PTSO is amazing. They sold, gosh, 1,300 cookies, 1,300 jingle grams. I don't know if you guys saw the unicorns on Facebook, but they were really cute. And so, and all that, we're trying to save for playground equipment and things for whatever the teachers need and that we need for our school. And of course, our sports and our music program is wonderful. Crystal was doing a patriotic performance with the band, and that was really neat. And she's had a concert. She's going to have another concert, a spring concert. So she's definitely been amazing. And we have 3 of our teachers are also coaches. So, and then yeah, you go ahead. And then our kiddos last weekend won the championship in Hydesville, so we were pretty excited about that. So anyway, that is a little piece of Redwood. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, you mentioned the playground. What would you suggest that would go nicely out there?
You know, just some of the more play structures. I mean, we've been just thinking, we've got swings, which is nice. You know, we've looked at, like, Mary Peacock's got some really cool things on their playground. I mean, I don't know, we'd have to really look. We've been looking through catalogs, and things are very expensive. So trying to figure out what we would want, but we could definitely sit down if you're really interested and think of some things. Because we do have a wonderful kindergarten playground, which is really nice for our kinder kids. But we just don't really have much. And so I think if we had more, then we'd probably have less incidents on the playground. Because I think if you get bored, then you start trying to find things to do, and they're not always the best things to do. You know, touch football becomes tackle football, and you know, that kind of stuff. So, but yeah.
Teresa, I love Kathy Haggard, great teacher. I'm glad she's back with you guys. But she's not a SPED teacher.
Right, correct. Yeah.
So we're operating without a SPED teacher.
Yes.
Any questions? Any questions? You've been doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're coming up to public comments. Opportunities for comments by the public for non-agenda items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. The board values comments received, but the law requires the board members not engage in back and forth conversation on items listed on the agenda. The board may, at its discretion, refer a matter to administration or calendar the issue for future discussion. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Board bylaws 93:23 states individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda and non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Do you have any comments from the public?
I'll be quick. Amber T. Concron, 6th grade Crystal. We've talked a lot. You've heard from, like, I don't even know how many hundreds of committee members at this point. So we have decided that speech isn't working. So we know everybody, takes stuff in differently. Sometimes it's hard to take it all in when you're hearing it person after person. So we decided to provide visual aids. Some are more educational than others. Some are more artistic than others over at Hebrew Newton. So don't judge us on our artistic ability, but we decided to provide visual aids so it's there and you see it because you've heard the message over and over and over and over and over and over. This is day what?
329.
Day 329 of the negotiations hostage crisis at this point. We just need things done. We need to keep moving. Our team's still moving. We need to get things done. It's going to end one way or the other. We're hoping it ends in a way that Delaware can still get people. The question back there, how will you answer, that was one from some custodial staff, how will you answer if applicants ask about our teaching climate? Think long and hard about that. If you were asked right now by an applicant, that's a rough one. If you're a legit person and honest, that's a rough one to answer with how the teaching climate is. How is the relationship between the union and the district? Those are all questions with the upcoming job fair starting, you're going to have to answer. And we'd like the job fairs not to attract some of our current people away, because they're starting next month. I had somebody contact me from the one down by James Logan. So we're hoping that you guys will look at some of the stuff people have to say, you've heard it, and direct your team back to the table to do something to actually end it. Not just stare at each other at the table. I mean, I'm sure they've stared at each other enough after a year. So we're hoping this ends soon, and that, if you need to, there's, like I said, visual aids. Thanks.
My name is Mike Malou, actually pronounced Milieu, but I'll never train any of you. So, I'm a former teacher. I was a CTA chapter president and also a DNTA negotiator. And I want to take a moment to address Amber's concern about negotiations. And I've tried not to get into what's going on behind closed doors, but I did have a conversation with her about interest-based bargaining. And I think she feels that that's kind of gone out the window. And I would encourage the management team to maybe look into the elements of interest-based bargaining. I used to hate all the papers on the wall where we'd get up and we'd write our interests and then we'd cross this, but it promoted discussion, and it got to the elements of what negotiation should be. And I've said this over and over again, and it's probably not good for teachers or management, but the best negotiation that you can come to is where both sides come in and there's always give and take, but you're always moving. And at the end, if it's successful, then neither side is really very happy. Because it's not about winning and losing, it's about solvency, it's about morale, it's about making people feel like they're part of the team. And again, I'm getting off the script, but someone says, Mike, why are you doing this? And I said, well, I have a lot of deja vus, which I've always had. And which means I must be spiritual, Teresa. And I had a dream in the form of a deja vu, and it happened because I'd been talking to my daughter about negotiations and what was happening. And I had a dream about Rodney Jan, because we spent a lot of time negotiating. We spent a lot of time arguing, and we weren't always friends, played basketball together and all of that. But we worked on the bond together, and we were always successful in coming to terms in an interest-based way. And in the dream, Rodney said, do something, Mike. To that effect, I'm going to review the recall process and what's been done so far. I'm going to start by introducing a committee. I'm the chairperson, Deanna Clark, and I don't know if Deanna made it tonight.
She's right here.
She's right here. Deanna Clark is our treasurer and retired teacher. And then we have Janet Parker, who's the secretary. I call her Sunflower because she's so tall. So. What we've done so far, well, as you know, we serve the board and the superintendent. a notice of intention to circulate a recall. Oh, really? Is that 3 minutes? Could I be allowed to speak?
I can cede my time to you.
I don't know, because I'm going to go over what we've done so far. Anyway,
By all means.
okay. We served the board. Board members and the superintendent had 7 days after that to respond to that. Angela Greeno was one that did respond to it, wrote a 200-word response, which will end up on the petition. Kudos to her. Next, we published the notices in the paper and submitted proof of publication to the county clerk. That's been done. We've submitted copies of the recall petitions to the county clerk, and they are under review by the clerk and the county council. Upon revisions and approval, we can then begin collecting signatures. The signature process will take quite a few people to do. So far, I've got 75 volunteers to work on recall signatures. We will need 3,000 signatures per petition. That's approximately 20% of the at-large registered voters in Delaware County. This is an at-large county election. It's not by district, so the entire county will be voting on that. Again, I'm getting off. One thing that people don't realize is that it takes a long time to do a recall. It'll be 120 days after the petitions begin to be circulated. We have 120 days to gather the signatures. They're then submitted. The county has 30 days after that to verify the signatures, and then it can go to a recall, which at that time would be a special election, which will cost the school district money, about $60,000. It probably would take place in the summertime. That's how long it takes. And for those of you who saw the paper, you'll notice that Frank Magareno, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, his petition was not published in the paper because we can't go ahead with your recall, because you can't recall someone within 6 months of the end of their term. And given the amount of time it takes to do this, he'll be within that 6 months. So his term is up is in 2020, so he'll have to reapply and run for this position. The other 3 are up in 2022, so that's why it didn't show up. Our committee is in the process of filing to the county and the state a Form 410, which is a statement of organizational recipient committee. This allows us to collect political donations. Specific timelines, I've already mentioned 120, 30 days to validate signatures, special election. Okay. I want to point out that I'm trying not to bear ill will here. I don't think that's what Rodney's intent was. Mrs. Greeno, you are one of my favorite ex-students, except for Teresa here, and on my speech team. And I appreciate the fact that we have talked and that you submitted a response. I really don't know Mr. MacArthur, but when I went to get proponents on the initial, I had a difficult time getting people to sign yours because they found you to be, the response was, he's a nice guy, he's working hard, so on and so forth. Jamie and I have family relationships that go back generations. And, Bob and Susie Appel, I believe, would that be your aunt and uncle by marriage? Okay. So, and Bob was my supervising teacher when I first started at Bar Boys Ranch, so it goes back a long way. Mr. Harris, don't know you very well at all, but you and I have a common friend in Brett Lobel, and he's a business partner of mine, and he said hi, by the way, talked to him on the phone. And Frank, my daughter loves your kids. She said both of them in class, so there must be good in there somewhere, buddy. At this point, I think that if the audience, you guys can't ask me anything, but if the audience has any questions, I've taken too much time anyway, but if you have a specific question about the process, Well, I will tell you this. A lot of people are saying, are you going to do this, Mike? You really going to do this? And the committee and I have agreed, our options are open. Ironically enough, I've submitted my name to finish Daly's term, District 4. And I don't want to recall myself. But I might after sitting in closed session for a while. But anyway, I'd like to be considered for that. I think I have some input that might be useful. With that, I mean, do you have any questions of me? They can't ask any. That's good, thank you.
Ignorance can be fixed. When you're ignorant, it means you don't know something. And when you have to make a choice or a decision and want to make the right thing, you need that information. When you're ignorant, you don't have it, and you make a blind decision. Stupidity is when you have that information, and you still choose to make the wrong decision. It's very important. We have a fact-finding report. We have money earmarked for our teachers. It's time that we do the right thing. It's important for our children, our parents, and our community. They're amazing. And I'm embarrassed that we're still doing this. I'm embarrassed that they're not getting what they deserve from the state. So I implore you to get that information if you don't have it, read through it, and make the right decision. Ignorance is fueled by pride. People get embarrassed because they don't know information. They don't want to admit something that they don't know. Stupidity is fueled by greed. When you know it and you still don't do it, that greed could be political, it could be financial, it could be personal. What I'm saying is, please sit and look at your fact-finding report. Listen to your teachers. Listen to your students. Listen to your community. If it means going out and polling and asking their opinions, do it. Your constituents have a lot to say. And sometimes they might not have the means to do it. Or they may be ignorant themselves. I was ignorant because I didn't know all this was going on, but I received the information. So please, let's end this. Let's retain our wonderful teachers. Let's attract more teachers, more qualified teachers that will engage our students. Even though we're a poor community, our children still deserve the best. They're smart. They want to learn. So please, remember that quote when you decide and go out to the table, and let's end this. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brenda Robinson. I work for the school district. I'm in the special education department as a speech language pathologist. I'm up here today to talk about special education. In a couple of months on the board agenda is the special education presentation by our director. And she will be gaining some input from the special educators about our needs. And she'll be presenting that report to you in a couple of months. The reason I want to talk about that is one of our best teaching practices in our jobs is to front load. And that means that we're going to talk about it first and then bring it up again, and then it has a memory in everybody's mind about what it is that we're talking about and what we're learning. So today, in our little small speech language pathology department, we have an opening. It's a slip-up position. It's an assistant position that has never been filled this school year. And over a half a year ago, I was here speaking with you about that position that was going to be cut in our department. It was in a deep packet at the end of an agenda item, and it was buried deep along with some contractual additions to our school district for counselors. So In other words, they had a pile of counselors to be hired, and then there was a petition to have a speech-language pathology assistant position cut. And so I came, and you guys were great at listening to our speech department. We stayed here till 8:30 at night, and you guys had some great discussion items for us. So that position is still unfilled. There is a traveler right now that is a speech-language pathologist who is kind of filling part of that position and part of the job as a speech-language pathologist. It's very expensive to hold that position, and our district is paying a lot of money for these positions that are travelers. So I'd like the school board and Colleen Parker to advocate for recruiting in our speech department. One more spot that's open. I would like to have 2 more because we just don't have enough help. And so I'm looking at you because I haven't had a chance to email you yet. And to think about that in a couple of months when the special education presentation comes up for our needs. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I'm not much of a budget person, but Mr. Napier, I'm thinking that the governor was talking about some special education or early childhood education monies that came in that are going to be allocated to early childhood education. I don't know if it came in yet, but there's a big push for early childhood education. So I'm also proposing that a preschool speech pathologist be hired as an additional line item in our budget. That is another great need. The speech pathologists work with children ages 3 to 22 in our school district. So it'd be wonderful to have a person just specifically for our preschool children. We are itinerant. I work at 3 schools. The climate in our schools is different for each one, and it would be very difficult to be working with 3 years old all the way up to 22 and stretch as far as we are. We are all over our caseload size right now, so there is, I'm advocating for another speech-language pathologist to be hired in our district, and particularly using some of that early childhood education money. I think it is a great use of that source. One more thing, I have a pay cut this year. I did not get demoted. I did not get reprimanded. But I got a pay cut this year. I'm getting $84 less a month in my paycheck. And it's because of rising healthcare expenses that cut into my paycheck. And so I would appreciate it if the COLA could be allocated to our employees so that we can make those cost of living adjustments. Thank you.
My name's Jessica Curry. I'm the district for Frank. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and I don't want to kill it. I'm so sorry. Mr. Frank, I'll call you.
Margarino.
Oh, Margarito?
Margarino.
Margarino. Sorry. Very terrible name. I'm new. My boys started this last fall. You guys have been in negotiations for 392? 29. Are you serious? I'm sorry. If you get to know me, I'm straight up, I tell it like it is, I don't have time to screw around. I have 3 children, 2 of them are special needs. I agree with the lady about the speech. We do need more speech teachers, because my sons, when he transferred to this school district, their speech hours got cut because we don't have enough speech pathologists. I had one of your, I'm going to get so mad right now, where's Mr. Ender? I had one of your, not psychiatrists, the ones that evaluate the IEPs, psychologists, tell me that I need to move my children to Best Maxwell to be with other special ed kids. I looked at her and said, you want to segregate the special ed department? My kids are just fine where they're at, by the way. Teachers love them. I love them. Love the principal, love everybody. My son now in kindergarten can say full-on sentences because he is with other children his age. He is now fully potty trained. He says mama. Do you know he's never said that in a long time? He says, I want macaroni and cheese. Now, you can barely understand the cheese part, but he's eating. He's eating like the other children. He's doing so much more. So I'm gonna come here every time we have a school board meeting,
and talk to you about one of my kids' teachers, because I got like 6 of them over at the high school for my oldest. I don't have a problem. We moved here. Me and my husband met with Brooke Davis before we came and said we can either be your biggest pain in your butt, not in those words, or we can be your biggest advocate. I moved here because I love it here. I love the people. I love the fact that there's so many veterans here. It's amazing. But I don't like fighting. I don't like to know that my son's teachers are staying awake all night because they're worried about striking. If you want to know something, Mr. Frank, Jesus, I'm so sorry, about Smith River, my name is Curry. You can call and get my phone number. Last name is Curry. I'm the only one in the district. I would be glad to explain to you about special ed, IEPs, 504s, the kid that's a sophomore at the high school that is the only one in pre-calculus, who will now take calculus next year at Redwood, and is doing 2nd semester of sign language at Redwood. You guys need to talk to the people that vote for you. See what they want to do. Because I shouldn't have to be here. These teachers probably want to be at home with their families, and now I got to run home to Smith River and cook dinner. So, can we all be adults and be better? That's what I tell my kids. Be better. Be better than other people. Be better.
Crystal Helton, Margaret King, parent of 3. Martin Luther King Jr., one of his famous quotes is, "The time is always right to do what's right." And that's what I expected you to do after the fact finder came out last week. But then I heard that you have to offer your best and final offer before our teachers can do what they basically are being pushed to do, which is strike for their rights and for the ask that they put in for 329 days ago. What I tell my mother about you is that you guys got your feet so far in the freaking mud and you won't budge. And I know that everybody's been nice tonight, but I'm not being nice. I feel a certain way about this, and I'm not going to change my mind. And so does the NTA, and they have my back. And I will be collecting signatures for recall in Klamath. I fear that you are going to hold these negotiations and our teachers' contracts hostage until August, and that is a shameful way to lead in this county. I do not want district leadership doing something like that. It's shameful. I'm still not convinced by your numbers that what DNTA is asking for is unreachable. You haven't proven that to the community. You put your links up on the webpage. That doesn't tell me anything as a community member. You've done no community outreach about this. Parents come to me for questions all the time in Klamath about this, and I struggle to find the answers. And I usually have to contact DNTA for answers. You haven't proven to us why you are being as steadfast, if that's a good way to put it, as you were being. You've not eased any of the dis-ease that we have felt this entire school year. And at this point, 329 days into negotiating the future of our community, I say the damage is done. And that's why I'm going to be collecting signatures. Because I don't feel respected by you. I don't feel that the teachers who I respect, probably the most people I respect the most in our community, that they are not respected by you. I lose respect for each and every one of you every time I have to come here and say the same thing. And I certainly don't trust you. So you see the signs, you've heard what we have to say. I just told you that you are not being clear to our community. You are not engaging our community at the level that you need to have any support from our community, except for people you know, of course. But I really want to know, our community wants to know what's next. Because it's not just the contracts that you're holding hostage, it's not just the salaries you're holding hostage, you're holding all of us hostage by this. Because we all still worry about that. We have an MK Moms Facebook Messenger group. There's 40 of us on there that's how we communicate with one another. And every day someone asks, "Are we striking? And what do we know about the strikes? What's going on? Can you explain this to me?" So you've not done your job in educating your community, and you are who are educational leadership, and that's kind of appalling.
Hi there, Angela Stanley, District 3. You know, I'm here. I support the teachers. I support the people who are spending time with my children, educating them, spending time with them after work or after school when I am still at work. I am here tonight instead of at home with my family to help support these teachers. I was very disappointed to see that there seems to be a lack of want to make the last and final offer, trying to halt the teachers' legal ability to strike. And there's been talk among parents that if you're going to limit the teacher's ability to strike, to organize a parent-led student strike and amass enough students to strike for the teachers. And I have no problem working with parents to get their students out of school enough to make the point well known. This is 329 days of ridiculousness. Please don't make me do that much work. Please don't make my students have to potentially miss days of school. Please allow my children not to ask if this teacher will be here next year. Please allow everyone to move on. It is possible to move on, but a fair offer needs to be made. Thank you.
Miriam Wilson, Delmar High School and DNTA Secretary. Leave it to teachers to turn an otherwise boring, drab, depressing room into a creative, dynamic, intelligent environment. So thank you all for your creativity and professionalism. A couple posters that caught my eye. One's in the back here about "You're pushing us out." You're pushing us out. Yeah, that's it. And that is most recently evident in the resignation of my friend and colleague, Andrea Nickerson, a talented English teacher and art and theater. That woman is, has many talents and skills, so we're very sad to see her go. Thank you very much. Another one that caught my eye is there behind you in the blue sign. Ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. And we are getting, and I think I'll go one step further and echo what a parent said, the first parent that spoke, that it's not just knowing the difference, but acting, showing that you know the difference. We'd like you to actually show that you are ethical and do the right thing, even though it's not the easiest thing. And another comment, just the rereading the Fact Finder's report opinion that the 13.5 employee turnover rate in 1 year could adversely affect the performance of an organization. So you're the board, this is your organization that you are allowing to be adversely affected. I don't see how you can be proud of that. With the Fact Finder's report, in addition, when folks, community ask you to read it and abide it, we're not talking about the measly 2%, which, oh, there's a poster up there too. 2% does what for one paycheck? Some checks will, some salaries will still be negative. One, I think it's over there, 50, anywhere between, well, any brand, you know, depending where you are on the schedule, $30 to, you know, $60 a month. And in the great wisdom of some of the district management's employees that the step and column is supposed to be a raise or something. It's not, otherwise this year, in my 15th year, I just moved down. I should be making more than last year, but I'm not. I'm at least $150 to $200 less than I did before. So, way to go.
Sarah Mitchell, and I'm speaking as a parent right now. And I just want to say that I hope that you guys are going to come together and address the serious issue that an organization would be okay with putting out anybody with a bachelor's degree. It's good to come and be with our kids. I just can't let that go as a parent of a child at Crescent Elk. We've got amazing teachers, and I'm still scared to send her to Crescent Elk sometimes. And they're awesome, amazing teachers. With what's going on, I would hope that you guys would really take a step back and say, that is an unacceptable thing to be quoted as the leaders in our district. It's not okay for my daughter, it's not okay for the students I serve, and as the leaders, to stand behind that statement is disheartening. I'd like to mix some of these signs up a little bit and say, how would you answer applicants if they asked about our administration's ethics? I'd be wondering that if I was applying for a teaching job here. I looked back at the behavior services, behavior specialist position that you guys flown with the teaching credential, with the credentials of our current behavior specialist, who is amazing. Let me say that again. He serves our children in unprecedented ways. He reaches out to people on the caseload, off the caseload, teachers, classified. There's times where it feels like he holds this place together. You guys couldn't get any applicants, no big surprise. You brought it back, you reduced the requirements so that they no longer have to be a credentialed teacher, no experience in a classroom necessary. You also, which I just figured out and why it's on my mind again, you reduced the days to 181 days. So now the person that I'm working for on the classified salary schedule will only make $6 more an hour than I do. $6 more an hour than I do, a master's degree required credential. And you've reduced it to 181 days, which means they will not start when special education educators start. They will not be solving the problems that our current behavior specialist solves. They will not be out there providing the support. And I'd like to ask, is that going to be you guys filling that hole? No. This is our highest behavioral needs situation. If this isn't a priority, I don't know what is. This is abominable, you guys. This is going to cause major issues. Please look at things. When you guys wanted somebody, and Mr. Kissinger, I've heard some good things. I don't know you personally, but I have heard some good things, and I hope that's true. And I hope that by raising the bar, you guys were able to attract and hopefully retain somebody that's good. But I can tell you, you're not doing that for our certificated staff. You're not doing that for our classified staff. You're not doing it for the people that provide the most important services to our students.
Hello, so for those of you that don't know me, I'm Ms. Polino. I teach it. They always laugh because I always say not to give me the mic, so I refuse not to take the mic, even though there is a mic right here. So I just wanted to say that thank you everyone in the community for all of your support. This has been a very exhausting process. I don't want to admit this in public, but I don't know how many times I've cried in the last, I don't know how many months about this.
329 days.
I cried when I got to school one day and one of my fourth graders brought me a little card and I opened it up and it said, "Please don't strike, Mr. Pelayo." That was really hard to read. I cried a couple of weeks ago when I met with some brand new teachers to our district who are considering leaving because they don't feel valued in our district. I promised them that we would stand behind them, that we really hope they stay because we need awesome and amazing teachers in our district because our students deserve that. I think it's unethical to recruit teachers from out of the area and present them our salary schedule, but not tell them about the healthcare costs when they get here. Because they're all excited, right? It's like, oh, I just finished college, look how much money I'm going to make, and then they realize once they come here and they sign a contract that really, if you want decent healthcare, don't ask me about my deductible because I don't have decent healthcare. When I went to the doctor and they gave me a big bill, I was like, oh, I guess I don't have good healthcare. But, you know, and then tomorrow, I get to drive to Humboldt State after school. I was asked to teach a course at HSU. I'm going to teach 25 credential candidates, and I really, really want them to come to Del Norte. I want nothing but to brag about our district, because I had an opportunity to work with these students earlier last semester, and they're amazing candidates that our district could benefit from having these amazing people. And it is my hope, we have 7 weeks, right, that I get to meet with them every Friday. Let's settle this contract fairly so that I can recruit them to Del Norte, so that they can come to Del Norte and fill the positions that need to be filled so that our students can have the best teachers that we can provide them. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right.
I'll do a quick one. I'll do a quick one. Real fast. Is that okay?
Coming down.
You haven't hit it yet. I just want to piggyback off a couple things that were said. If I was a new potential hire in this district, all I would have to do is look at Facebook.
Or just Google.
Or it doesn't matter. I mean, what's being done right now, I mean, HR, I would not want your job.
No.
I wouldn't, because we've heard all the facts and everything. I'm not going anywhere. This Nick Rail thing is too special. You're not going to lose me. There's one, I know of 9 that have either left this year or are going to leave. And I'm not sure if that matches up with Luis's comment. That's a problem. And all I'd have to do is look at Facebook and I'd be like, your biggest HR recruiting tool is in this room. You know how many people I've said, hey, high school friends who have credentials, you want to move to Crescent City and not live in Santa Barbara anymore? It's a little more affordable. I wouldn't tell them that right now. I wouldn't. It's a little scary. And it's been more fun. And my job is all fun.
Thank you, Jen.
I'd like to make a statement here on behalf of the board. On January 9th, during closed session of a duly noticed regular meeting of the board and lead district negotiator Colleen Parker discussed the draft fact-finding report which pertained directly to negotiations. The board agreed then and continues to agree with the recommendations of the report. It is the desire of the board to have a signed tentative agreement as soon as possible. Tonight in closed session, the district bargaining team also informed us that a meeting between the district and the DNTA's bargaining team is being scheduled for next week. Okay, let's move on to the next board report. Board members, any report? No? We don't have a student board member?
Well, Liz, I mean, she's been sick a couple of days, she's got final week, so she would be.
Okay. All right, with the consent.
I'll move to approve the consent.
Get a second?
Sorry, my computer's not working.
So you need more something updated?
I just want to look at his contact again, since we're not getting any questions. Oh, I just put everything.
13. Good?
Yeah.
Good stuff?
Can questions be asked on this or no? On agendized items? Yes.
Yes, so there's public comment.
Yes.
No, before the item.
Oh, the items? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so on that contract of the $20,000 or more of New Dawn, it really didn't outline, I mean, that's a huge amount of money, and it just kind of says for this thing. So I'm just curious, how much have you guys like looked into that or questioned that? My understanding, working in the school district and seeing the New Dawn staff, and I'm not sure if this is what this means, if this is the price for all of the New Dawn staff, is this specifically for emotionally disturbed students? Because I know we have New Dawn working in the schools with children who aren't, so it's not very clear, and I was just wondering, did the board ask any of those questions, or?
This is the New Dawn contract for the special ed severe. It's started in, it's the yearly contract.
But what I'm asking is, so it says for emotionally disturbed students, so is that specifically, or is it actually for the New Dawn that's providing the support in place of our classified staff?
I have to check with Brooke on exactly what it is. I do know that there's one or two very high profile that are requiring a lot of New Dawn support.
Well, I don't know if you guys are aware or have been in the schools lately, but there's New Dawn in just about every school. And they're working in our classified. Our contract says that you guys will not contract out. And while I actually understand that there's a major crisis happening in our district right now. A major crisis with our behaviors therapists, with our IAs, with our increase in behavior students. But I just want to ask you guys, please, because I don't want to have to take this to a grievance, but this is the issue. We don't have full-time staff. We're not offering full-time staff. We don't have a vision. We don't have a plan. New Dawn, many of them are school district employees who have left and worked for New Dawn. Even some ping pong back and forth, just depending on the mood or which shift or who has the easier kid to work with or whatever. Now, I appreciate New Dawn, and let me just say, they have stepped in situations where our students have needed them. So let me just make that very clear and thank New Dawn for filling in the holes that our district administration has allowed to gape and gush and puss and infect, and it's disgusting. And I'm just wondering, how much have you looked into this? Because you're saying, well, I'll check with Brooke, so then you don't have the information, you haven't passed it along to them, and you're okaying this is not $20,000, this isn't $25,000. That's a 2.5% pay raise for classified nearly. We have a major attraction and retention in the classified as well. And you guys, you're acting like this is just an ongoing contract, no biggie. It is a big deal, because the classified have no problem understanding and working with you guys, and you know this, Jeff Napier especially. I and the team I've worked with have worked very hard to make sure that we make sustainable solutions. If we notice a $250,000 problem, we don't just put a contract Band-Aid on it to somebody else.
Right. That's our.
This is our work. These are our people, and these are our students. And I hope you guys are not making these decisions lightly, because this is not just a couple high-profile kids. This is nearly every school. There are places where we do not have the staff to fill the position. And that's why New Dawn's being asked. So please don't be baloneyed. Don't let the wool be pulled over your eyes, board members. Ask questions. Now, I also agree that there's a problem and that we could work together to solve it. But just rubber stamping a $255,000 contract for our classified work, we will grieve it if we have to. We would like to work with you to solve this, but if there's no vision, there's no plan, it's just, oh, this is just our new thing. That's not how an organization deals with the direction that their problems are heading.
Our jobs.
These are our classified jobs, you guys. This is not okay.
In addition, we work with our classified staff, and these employees are not part of our team. And it's really tricky to know what my expectations are I am training 2 new Dawn members in my classroom that do not work for the school district. I don't know what their contract looks like.
I do this all the time. This is my job. I also am the lead behavior interventionist. So I am in the classrooms training these new Dawn staff. It's why I know how many there are.
Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this and look a little deeper into it, so we can get more
Yes,
clarity.
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Let's
It'd be less than even that price tag.
Thank you, yes.
invest
Okay,
in
so we're
our
gonna get this
organization.
to the board.
Great job, Sarah. Oh my God. There needs to be a plan to address the root problem. We will support you guys and work with you, but don't take our work. Oh, but it's, aren't they just the big
And these are the additional They have no idea. They still don't know. Mr. Baker hasn't told them. No, he just has, no.
We will work with you, but we need to make this right. This is a major issue. Thank you,
We're gonna take a 5-minute break. Go after your break. Yes. Now we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Ladies, do the right things. Just more than 20.
You got with us, but we still have a full quorum. All right, so we're going to consent. Now we're gonna move into reports. Mr. Jones, Delaware Teachers Association.
Good evening, Marshall Jones, Delaware Teachers Association. There's been a number thrown out. I'm not a real numbers guy, but 329, it's a long time. It's a long time. As we enter into this full year since the current bargaining process began, Fortuna School Board was able to settle in 1 hour.
Yay!
Kobe Creek School Board settled in 20 minutes.
Wow!
What's the difference? They both realize that their teachers are an important asset and prioritize the budget to attract and retain their educators accordingly. What has happened at Delaware Unified? Nothing. Why has it been almost a year as we are sunshining next year's contract that we're still without a settlement? Is that right? Are you willing to roll the dice and hope that teachers will give up and take a 3-year contract that won't even keep up with inflation? Is that fair? Is your strategy of not offering a fair proposal going to retain current teachers?
No.
Is your strategy going to attract a large number of positions that are going to surely be needed next year? As the sign says, job fairs are starting next month. Administrators are already beginning to write recommendations for teachers that are looking at their options. Why is it so difficult to honor the hard work of our teachers here? Why is it so hard? Why is it so difficult to recognize that the state has given a 3.26% cost of living adjustment so teachers can keep up with inflation? Why are you not willing to see that teachers are the #1 investment in the future success of our children, not programs or management salaries? When is management going to tell the board and our educators that our insurance is going to go up again next year? Has that been mentioned, school board? Has that been mentioned? Yes? College of the Redwoods has pulled out of the JPA, leaving a massive debt in the current North Coast Insurance Group that we are still a part of. They are planning to pass that debt on our teachers' backs. Mr. Harris and Mr. Napier are both on the JPA board and should have first-hand knowledge that this could increase each member's health care costs next year up to $3,000 more per member next year.
So if I can just say, Marshall, I'm not on the medical insurance group board.
Then they need to change their website. It's on the website.
Because on the website you are. Mr. Nape, you are the treasurer, correct?
No.
You were last year?
No, I'm the treasurer of the SIG, not the MIG.
Okay. Are you
So
on the?
our liability and property insurance is doing well.
So I think if you're looking at websites, we have school insurance group, which is property and liability, and there's medical insurance group. I sit on the school insurance group for liability and property. I don't sit on the medical insurance group.
That's unfortunate. Because,
And Jeff is
why
on the
that's
medical
unfortunate, because you've negotiated, Mr. Harris, CDT, a different insurance that we have. $3,000 more per member is $300. Look at what you're offering us. School board, are you aware of this? You should be. Even if they're not on the board, you should be aware of it, because it's a cost that's going to be on our backs next year. How can you say that a multi-year contract is going to be fair with what you're offering, knowing that that is going to happen? If you don't know, now you know. Are you okay with teachers having to pay the added increase even without offering a COLA? Are you okay with that? It's been over 3 months since management has offered a proposal. October 22nd, remember that day? It was a sunny day. It was the last written proposal. We've told you that we have been told that you have no intention to offer us your best and final. Our current contract will expire on September 1st. Trust me when I say that we are more than willing to go back, and I certainly hope so. When we go back next week, that is some movement that's positive for what needs to happen here. Every day that this contract goes unsettled is one more day that we don't work together to solve problems. And you are alienating the very people that want to work with you. Morale, you know, is at an all-time low. And it's been low sometimes. It was really low a number of years back, and we decided we did not want to let our teachers go and not get pink slipped. So we forego any kind of cost increase, and we took it on our backs for you, for the district, for our students. The word is out that Del Norte Unified does not value its employees, certificated as well as classified. The word is out. You are not bargaining in good faith. 329 days is not bargaining in good faith. You have gone. We have never gone this long without a settlement. And my last statement is, what is your end game? Let's end this. You want to meet? Let's meet next week. Let's get an offer that is going to be okayed by our side and your side and get this done. Thank you.
California School Employees Association, are you speaking for?
I am. I'm speaking for George tonight because he's out with some dental procedures. So he could not speak tonight. So last board meeting, we were basically just kind of introduced as our new e-board, and we have been working extremely hard to work through the transition and get our people informed and involved. So I just wanted to give you guys kind of an update on what we've been doing and the things, maybe a few little concerns. So on negotiations actually happened on January 9th, which was the day of the last board meeting. We didn't really have everything together to make any statements on that or anything, but we were happy with how the negotiations actually went. The district came to the table seeming to be willing to treat us appropriately and fairly and negotiate well, and we were very thankful of that, given everything that was going on. We were very nervous going into negotiations, so we appreciate that. However, we were only talking about catastrophic leave, so that's an easy thing for the district to be nice about. That's something that benefits both sides. We exchanged some proposals, and I think we're actually pretty close to finishing that out. I'm hoping that we can get that finished up at the beginning of our next negotiation, which is January 31st. So then, on the following Saturday, January 11th, we had Csea trainings from our Csea state people. We had a huge turnout. It was awesome. Our regional rep and our labor rep both were here presenting. Our labor rep did 4 trainings, which she said she's never done 4 in a day, so it was really awesome for our members who often have to travel to Humboldt to get any training to be able to come up and get informed and get some of their questions answered. So it's been nice connecting with state and making those connections again, and then just getting that education to our members. On January 16th, I am pleased to say that our e-board presented to our chapter a resolution to support DNTA, which passed. And we are now happy to support and encourage the board to end this. I want you guys to know that the retention and attraction affects classified. As it was stated, there are many positions where there aren't teachers in it, and even special education positions that don't have teachers. And if you're there at the site, you'll know who runs those things. It's the classified on the ground in that moment. It's the other teachers at the site picking up the work and supporting those classified. It's the principals who are doing their best to spread the love. It's affecting everybody. This strike, this potential strike, this negotiation hostage is creating problems with everybody. It's causing the amount of stress through the roof. Our kids are not getting the best services they can, and we really urge you guys to settle this. In addition to that, this dispute is disrupting the education of our students, demoralizing staff, destroying the school climate, and beginning to tear our community apart. As such, we're also calling on you to take immediate action to repair the damage that's been caused by this ongoing dispute. Even if you were to settle this tomorrow, there is serious, significant damage that's been caused. And so I hope you guys would get together and make a statement on your intentions and your action plan on how you're going to address that. I appreciate you guys pulling the contract to look into it further, because I do think that we should be transparent. Something this huge does need to be addressed. And the classified don't want to just throw a monkey wrench. Like I said, we do value and support the connections we have with other agencies that we need to provide the services in the school district. But it starts with one little thing, and then it turns into, oh, well, we'll just spread them here. And now I guess we have a revolving contract. I certainly didn't know about that. And so it just makes it seem like then this is just something you guys are okay with, giving our classified work away. And instead, you need to recognize that there's something going on in our district to create this need. That's the root problem. And while New Dawn might be the temporary solution, it sounds to me like it's becoming much more of a permanent solution. And we need to look at what our classified staff need, what do we need to provide them so that they can do the jobs that our school district needs. New Dawn is great and amazing, but they're not an education, academic-based company. We're contracting them to do services that go over and step over those bounds. That's not what's best for our students, so I please urge you guys to look into that. And I encourage you to come to the school sites, because obviously maybe the people that you're getting your information from aren't quite sure where the New Dawn staff are themselves. Any school site you go, you'll see them. Again, we'll be willing to work with you on this, but we need to have a vision saying that, you know, we've got a $250,000 crisis in CSEA. We need your help to authorize that we can contract out your work. And we would say, we agree. We have a crisis. Let's create a plan, let's create a vision, and let's do what it takes to get our kids the services they need and protect the classified work. Csea Chapter 178 aims to be active participants in improving the lives of our members, students, and community. We look forward to working with you to solve problems and create sustainable solutions in our district, because Del Norte students and staff deserve the best. Thank you.
Look at the LCAP, we broke it down by position, by salary, by benefit, by everything. And we really dug in, and it was probably one of the best learning opportunities that people had about really getting to understand the detail in that this year. And if you remember, our LCAP, we don't, the board approves the LCAP, but the state approves the LCAP for the district. This new LCAP, the LCAP requirement eliminates the need for transparency around the budget, just around what is personnel and what's not personnel, and doesn't meet the needs of kids, or doesn't meet the needs of low-income foster and English learners. Tom and Jeff and I talked, and we feel very strongly that if our system does not allow us to go ahead and break it down into those very visible elements, we will still do that, given the documentation that we need to put together so that our community knows exactly where every dollar in that LCAP is going. And we can tie outcomes to those actions, and we can tie expenditures and the return on those expenditures to those actions, because the one thing that I would agree with a lot of things that I've heard, and I think that anybody who's been on our, any of our LCAP input groups over the last few years, we have found a lot of waste. We found computer programs that nobody's using. We found overestimations of funds, which is one of the reasons we went through last year and said, what do we really have? And boiled that all down, and that was a very clarifying moment for us, and we want to continue that. The other thing, today, I was able to spend a couple hours, just over 2 hours, with members from the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. We were talking with Humboldt about exactly what Sarah's talking about special education. What is the system that we need for special education? My thing, I've been here 4 years now, this is my 5th, we're slapping Band-Aids on a 30-year-old system, trying to make it work in a completely different context with a completely different need of our students. We are up to the point where we have almost 20% close to 20% of the students in our district are on IEPs. We have students coming in younger and younger with special needs. Brenda said it earlier, we have preschool kids that are coming in as infants in special education. They need speech services and other services, OT, PT, AP, whatever it is, early on. And our system is not built to do what we need it to do to benefit our kids and our families. And so we had a lot of conversation about what that looks like if we were to really come into this district, work collaboratively with the CSEA, DNTA, teachers, parents, community members, nonprofits, and really tear down the current system and rebuild the system we want to have for our kids. And one of the conversations we were having with CCDE is we're inequitably funded. When you look at special education, you have a district in Shasta County who can drive 2.5 hours and get training in Sacramento. They can get supports from Reading that go out to the outlying districts. We can't get people who will drive up here from our SELPA in Humboldt to service, even though we're 40% of the SELPA. And so we talked about capacity building. We talked about what does it take, what will it take for the state to really support the needs of our staff and our kids to create a system that really works, because right now, it's not, I don't think that any of us want to.
Can I get some clarification, Frank? Can I get some clarification?
Sure.
I believe Mr. Napier said he's not on the board, right? You're not on that board?
I'm not on the.
You don't sit on that?
I'm not the trainer of that board.
You sit on the board, though?
I'm on the board, yes.
Okay, so you are aware of what's going on with that insurance?
To an extent, I wasn't at the last meeting.
Are you the only representative we have from Delmarine on that board?
I believe so.
And do you report out to members
No.
or to the board?
No.
No, so we don't know what happens at those meetings, even though.
The meetings are usually pretty pro forma, so, other than the rate setting meeting. When the rate setting meeting, when we have that, then I do bring that stuff out.
After they've been set, but not any
Actually, I've offered DNT representative to sit in on the rate setting meeting also.
When did that happen? I've never heard of that.
I've offered Mr. Boker that before.
He's not here. When is that meeting?
What's that?
When is that meeting?
Last month's rate setting.
They was set for this meeting and then they didn't make a decision yet.
Right.
So probably the next meeting.
So we could have gotten out of it like College of the Redwoods by December 1st had we done what I recommended when CVT came up on September 4th. I had CVT come up September 4th of this year, because I've gone to the President's Conference and looked at Kaiser Permanente as well as CVT, which is what our classifieds have, and see if there's some way that we could have some relief from this bond of this insurance group. sat in that meeting with you, Mr. Napier, and you, Mr. Harris, and not one word about you being on that board and having any of that influence. Not one word.
Are they 8 million in the hole, is that true?
Yeah. Almost.
$8 million in the hole.
Yeah, and well, I gotta tell you, Leif knows this, he's probably seen this around the rest of the state. Medical JPAs in California just aren't making it. And when you have a JPA like the one that's in Humboldt, and it's got College of the Redwoods, it's got Eureka City.
No longer.
No, I know, just hold on. It's got all of these big players, and then they start pulling out because the JPAs can't keep pace with what's happening with the CVT or ASSIST or some of these other ones.
But you knew that. You knew that. You had until December 1st to do something about it, and College of the Redwoods pulled out. We are now stuck with an $8 million price tag, and you're offering us 2%. How are we gonna be able to absorb that? We are the largest group out of that group, are we not? We are the largest member group of those 7.
So Marshall, I think that's a great question. So what I'm gonna ask Jeff to do is I'm gonna have him, because there's a timeline issue. We can't just tell them that we're out.
Oh, we had to
We
let them
missed
know
it.
by December that
We
we
missed
were
it.
maybe going to be
Missed
out,
it.
and then we would let them know definitively in March. That's my understanding from my
Yeah.
research.
Missed the
But we
timeline.
didn't tell them, like, in December, you're supposed to say, we might want out. We'll let you know for sure in March, but we didn't do that.
We did.
So we are.
So that's what I'm gonna have Jeff do, is I'm gonna have him give that timeline to everybody, so that everybody knows exactly what that timeline is. He'll get that from the JPA.
We're feeling like it's a little late for that. It already happened. The timeline to be,
I understand what you're
Okay.
saying, Judy. I understand what you're saying.
okay.
Jeff, will you please invite me to all of those meetings, or whichever one you think I'm welcome at?
No, they're open to the public.
Okay, can you let me know when they are?
Yeah, because I usually do them, but.
Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
we
we
do.
can sit together and zoom in.
But we really couldn't just sit out unless we had something already lined up.
March 8th.
Well,
All right, quarterly reports on land uniform complaints, Mr. Kissinger.
There were no complaints this quarter, which was from October 1st to December 31st.
Okay, so nothing in the report there. Information, public hearings, Delaware Teachers Associations, DNTA Sunshine Proposal.
Yes.
We don't do public hearing.
Sunshine thing, and DNTA intends to shine light on every corner of our professional agreement. The current professional agreement between the Del Norte Teachers Association and Del Norte County Unified School District expires on August 31st, 2020. As such, DNTA is opening all articles of our contract for negotiations. Every article will be open and may be modified or eliminated. We are doing this in the interest of creating a professional agreement for all DNTA members, which will focus on hiring and retaining highly qualified educators and honoring the important work that our unit members do for this community. DNTA will do whatever it takes to settle a fair contract in the interest of hiring and retaining highly qualified educators. Unlike DNUSD, DNTA has negotiated in good faith for the past 11 months. Our members have yet to benefit from our hard work that resulted in many tentatively agreed upon articles, including a sick leave donation system. As a result, we will be rolling the current tentatively settled and unsettled reopeners from 2019-20 into this bargaining session as well. Retroactive compensation for the 19-20 school year will be expected. Per the contract, DNTA proposes both DNTA and DNUSD bargaining teams be trained in and utilize interest-based bargaining and any other mutually agreed upon bargaining method. It is our hope that by doing this, both bargaining teams will be prepared to negotiate in good faith. Also per the contract, DNUSD will be presenting their sunshine document by the end of February. Our bargaining team plans to meet regularly with DNUSD beginning in early March. Since all 27 articles and 3 appendices are open for modification, there is a lot of work to be done. DNTA members expect a swift, fair, and honorable settlement.
Any comments?
Well, there's one. It's really the school board's responsibility to empower the district bargaining team. You guys have to tell them, we're giving you the power to go in there and negotiate. If they bring back something tentatively that you don't like, then you send them back. They have to have the ability to work in the room to come to a resolution. If they're going into the room with an anticipation of what you expect, then they're not true bargainers. They're simply messengers.
Any other comments? Okay, close the hearing. Go to action. Board members' resignation, Mr. Harris.
So the board received the resignation for Roger Daly during the last board meeting. The board needs to take action to accept that resignation. And upon the action to accept the resignation, then we'll be reaching out to media outlets per board bylaw to ask for applications or nominations to fill his seat. And then what we'll be asking is for those candidates or nominees to complete an information form. And then we'll need Frank to select one other board member to work with you to review the applicants for eligibility. And then once you verify the eligibility of the applicants, then we'll need to call a public board meeting. And that public board meeting, during that public board meeting, we'll be doing interviews of the applicants.
Public board meeting separate from the others?
Yes. And then after that board meeting, you'll be able to take, or at that board meeting rather, you'll be able to take spoken and written comment on the applicants, and then you'll make your final determination.
Is there a timeline?
The board member has to be seated within 60 days.
Point of information. Isn't it true that Mr. Daly moved out of the area in November?
No, he was out of the country on a missions trip up through December, and he was still working locally. And so he told us that he would probably be resigning, and we were asking him for his resignation, which he did not give us until the last meeting.
Thank you.
And I only know that he didn't leave in November because I spoke to him and said, hey, I've heard this rumor, and he said, yes, I'm still here, my family's in the process of packing while I'm away out of the country. So he was still here in November and December.
I see.
Okay. Move on to
His
position action.
residency was still here.
Can you do that? The position action?
Well, Colleen. Oh, we need a motion to accept the resignation.
Oh.
I'll move to accept the resignation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Colleen?
Is it attached to them? I don't see it. Is that, no, it's so they can see it.
So there's no form, so the board can either choose to hear Colleen's rationale, or you can wait for the next meeting and see the form. I would recommend that you wait to see.
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Because I want to see the form.
I'll wait.
Yeah, you're gonna wait, so we'll pull that?
Yes, so we'll just table it.
Table it, thank you.
All right, let's table, let's move on. And now we're moving on to discussion, possible action, establishing a revolving fund for the transportation department, Csea Training.
Which do you want up there first?
Well, I missed that one.
Board policy?
Yeah. This is the Del Norte County board policy stating that we can have revolving. So due to the DMV only accepting cash or debit cards, the Director of Transportation has been paying DMV fees with his personal funds, and we later reimburse him. Establishing a revolving account would enable the Director to directly pay those DMV fees with district funds. We would set a minimum balance, and then Mr. Campbell would go to the DMV and he would turn in his receipts and his backup, and we'd cut a warrant to the bank. And then we deposit that to the bank account. That minimum balance that we set would be maintained throughout the year. It would not change, only when he went to the DMV and then when we would credit that back. So that balance would be the same at 7/1/2020 or 2020 as it would be at the following June. And that balance is held in, you'll be able to see it in the page 2 of the SACS form. It would be a component of the ending fund balance. And we would, when we do the second interim, I can show you where that's going to show up if you approve this. It's reviewed by the auditors at the end of the year. It's reconciled. It has to have a reconciliation sheet with it. All of the bank records have to be submitted to the auditor, and they review that. In addition to his DMV fees that he pays, there's a new requirement. There's a clearinghouse for the federal drug and alcohol test. He has to do queries for all of his current employees and for every new one. It's not a lot of money, and it's probably $60 within a year, but he would have to use Mr. Napier's credit card for that, whereas if he had a debit card, he'd be able to do that with his debit card as well. Again, we would reimburse him for those charges, or reimburse the bank account for those charges. So there's two options. There's the Coast Credit Union, which has a monthly account maintenance fee of $8, and that's waived if we maintain a $3,000 minimum monthly balance. The debit card's included with that. And they have a requirement, which they don't call it this, but it's pretty much just a good faith deposit, that they want you to keep in there for 90 days, and it's $50 per member. And I would suggest the Assistant Superintendent of Business, the Director of Fiscal Services, and the Director of Transportation to be on the account. The second option is Tri-County Bank. They have a monthly account maintenance fee of $10, and that is waived with the $2,500 minimum daily balance. But they don't offer a debit card. They would only be checks because we're a public entity and they're a little bit more picky than the credit union, so they'd only give him a checkbook.
You said the debit card with Coast Central. What is there a limit on that? How does that work? Because usually you get a debit card, it'd be what? Whatever's on your account would be your limit, or?
Yeah, it would just be whatever would be in that bank account, yeah.
So that would be the limit of the debit card.
I didn't ask if we could settle on that. But I would look into that.
Okay, because I think we should have some kind of limit, kind of figure out what we actually need to spend on it any given time, and maintain a limit, because if we have an unlimited account in our, whatever it is in our account, anything can happen, you know what I mean? So,
Well, debit card.
debit card is a limit of your, whatever balance is in your account.
But no more than that. That is.
Yeah, but if you got $1 million in your account, that's okay.
Well, this is an account we established, right?
Right, it would only have whatever the minimum balance that we
It's not
set.
it's not a draw on it.
It would have a max. It would have, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So if the 3,000 was the minimum monthly, Michelle, what you're probably proposing, and I'm just gonna throw out a number, you might be proposing putting in 4,000 to make sure that we don't go below that 3,000 minimum.
Says they waived it.
No, but if you put 3,000 in and you paid something and now you go below the 3, you may get a charge. So what I was saying is if it's over.
I doubt that he would use more than 1,000 within a year. So both of these are more than what he would need, but I don't want to cost the district any money. I think 3,300 is probably plenty.
Matter of choosing between which bank?
choosing to do it, and then choosing.
Choosing.
I have a few questions first. So first, how are we just now finding about this now that he's been using his own personal funds to pay for DMV? Just that surprises and shocks me that a person is DMV. That's surprising. How did you discover this?
He came to me and asked me help.
Okay, and he just now? He's been there for 5 years? So how were we doing this previously before?
This is how we've been doing it. Reimbursing him.
That's, okay. And then two, I know this is going to like what we're choosing, so I know debit card sounds great, but DNB now charges a fee if you use your card, unless it's check. They have a processing fee for the state of California.
So there is the option with the check.
Right, a check. And then the other one is the third question. I'm dealing with this too. How often is he using this going to the DMV and doing this? Like, how often is that happening?
It varies throughout, it depends on the registration. When he's non-opting, he said that sometimes he has to change something that's wrong on the title. I don't know what that means. So it varies. It's really hard to put, I tried, but it's really hard to put. It varies throughout the year. I couldn't really get it.
And what is the difference, like, why can't, like, the district cut a check to the DMV versus him going and doing it? Is it just a time thing, or like, because I know sometimes taking that PO process is just like forever and a day. But I know DMV sometimes gives you like 3 months in advance if you're going to do something or do something. So what's like, the nice thing about doing this is he can go and do it right away versus cutting a check. Like, why haven't you been cutting checks to DMV first?
I didn't ask him that.
Are we as a public entity exempt from registration fees?
He said he has some. There have been some reimbursements to him. Like I said, if it was more than $1,000, I'd be surprised.
I have a question, and you said something about $60. Was that $60 at a time? And then you said if it was more than $1,000 within a year. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how much money is actually going to be spent out of this account on a yearly basis.
If it was more than $1,000, I'd be surprised.
Okay, so for my classroom, I get a $500 budget, and I have to spend that money and then be reimbursed for it. And I just want to, because it sounds like that might not have been known that this person had to spend their own money and then wait to be reimbursed. I just spent $150 on Amazon, have to wait for it to be delivered here, or else I can't get reimbursed if it goes to my house. And then I'll have to wait probably a month to get that check back. So I'm not saying, like, it's inconvenient for all of us, it's a bummer to have to budget for that, but I am very skeptical about this entire concept. And I'm saying that as an employee and also as a community member. It seems a little sketchy.
I wanted to comment too that, like, for us, for some reason this year the rules are a bit stricter. Before I could go to like Walmart, it's like, oh, I need pencils for tomorrow. But now I have to get that approved by my principal before I can even purchase pencils and then get reimbursed for them. So some of us just opt to just buy the pencils and not get reimbursed because it's easier not to do that because of the new rules. I understand, like, we want to make sure that we're transparent with the $500, but I mean, we turn in our receipts anyway, so if we were to get reimbursed, people would know that I spent it on pencils, not on something else. But it's just kind of annoying to have to get approval to buy pencils or supplies that you might need the next day, but your principal's home, you can't just text them when they have their own lives.
It just seems to me like we are making special accommodations for district supervisors as opposed to the teachers. If he's been doing this for 5 years all along, why do we need to change it now? We all put up with the same thing. 20 now, because he's a district administrator, director, we're going to do something special so he doesn't have to get reimbursed, but we still all have to put out our own money and get reimbursed.
So, Michelle, was there a specific reason why he came to you? Was it because he just didn't like the reimbursement process, or was it because he was paying for registrations for people to get driver's licenses, or what was going on?
I didn't ask him his personal reasons for coming tonight.
Table this, I'll meet with Derek and discuss.
Yeah.
Because,
Thank you. Find out about cutting
all
a
right,
check,
we're
we find out
gonna
why.
do something like this. We could probably find a mechanism where the teachers can get reimbursed quicker if we can do this mechanism. You know what I mean? So
The one difference is this is an operational expense for the police department.
It's
Teachers don't
an
have-
operational expense for our classroom.
That's for my pencils.
No, they
No,
don't.
they
We have
giant pencil, that is
something, and I'm not trying to be indignant here. I want to clarify what I saw you quoted as, Jeff, in the newspaper, saying that the district provides materials for us. They do not. At my school, we get white copy paper, and we are asked to really watch how we spend our copies. We also get Kleenex, which is a few levels below the Kleenex brand that you have here at the district office. We noticed that.
Oh,
and
no,
it's not funny.
It's not funny.
It's not funny.
When you have a cold, it is not funny.
So we, like that $500.
And yours is better.
Yeah, that $500 has to go for everything in my classroom. And I mean, like, if I need green paper to run off the Peacock Pride bucks that we use as an incentive at school, I have to buy that. And if I didn't buy it, I guarantee you Laura Hurt would find it in her limited budget to provide that for me. But the district is not providing those things for our classrooms. $500, and some sites, their principal does not allow them to spend that much money.
No.
Because it has to be approved. And if you want to talk specifics, I'm happy to meet with you and tell you some sites where there are some problems. But to clear up any misconception, we are not provided with any of that stuff.
Since they got rid of the
You're
warehouse,
welcome.
we'd like to giving everything, we're not provided with all of that. It used to be the warehouse had it, the school could order it, we could go in the supply room, grab pencils, grab crayons. We don't have a warehouse that provides that anymore, so
No
it's all on
staples.
us.
No staplers.
Tape,
glue,
scissors,
clipboards,
PE equipment,
pencils, art equipment, science
experiments.
experiments.
But we'll be glad to take a debit card for $500.
Yes, I will take a revolving account.
All right, let's,
I like those sentences.
Thank you.
let's just table this, we'll look more into it and then figure a mechanism that we can make everything work out, okay? All right. Okay, let's move on to, the academic calendar year for 2021, 21-22, and 22-23.
So, Pauline, did you want to share the academic calendars, or was this just an informational item for the board tonight?
It's informational.
Pardon me?
I believe it's informational. Discussion pauses. I have one question and one comment. It seems like we're going further and further back into August now. I understood we changed so we were going back the week before Labor Day. But if you look at the next two calendars, we're starting 2 weeks before Labor Day now. And we're getting further and further into August. I already have a personal thing that I can't attend till I retire because starting early, it's during that week that I have to go back to work, so I'm not able to attend a personal religious conference until I retire. The other thing is, the 3-year calendars are awesome, they're great to know. It'd be great if we could do it where the 1 year rolls off and we do the 3rd year again. There are a lot of people who work at the prison in this community. They have to put in their vacation time in September or October for the next year. And if we don't know when school starts, it's really hard to put in for vacation time. I just really hope that my husband didn't put in for the middle of August next year or the year after, because I have to go back to work. And if he has his vacation time already set, then he has to give it back and loses it. So there's a lot of parents and employees who are affected by having to put in their vacation time. It'd be great if we could roll it so we know 3 years ahead all the time, instead of doing what we did now. Or I called Linda a couple months ago and said, do we have a new calendar? And she said, it hasn't been, I can't release it because it hasn't been approved yet. Okay, we'll just kind of be hopefully that, the vacation times will be the same for him to put in for his vacation.
I like that idea that once one clears out, we keep having another one.
So you always
that's
know
something we
3
should
years in
discuss.
advance, and at least the next school year instead of.
2 years in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for that. I mean, we'll have to look, do a little more research into it and stuff.
Thank you.
Paige?
Article 10.2 of the DNTA contract, school calendar, the district will consult with the association prior to the development of the school calendar so that unit member input can be utilized. And I know that this is an information item, but clearly this has been developed. And even just right here in this small group, there's so much great input that you're getting. So I can type this up as a formal grievance just so that we have the paper tracking of it, but I think it's appropriate for us to sit down before this is on the approval agenda.
So, Colleen.
This was shared with both bargaining units twice, back in December.
Shared with us.
Yes.
Can
shared
you-
with your presidents.
Shared, but not.
Okay, shared with both bargaining
And
units
asked for
twice.
input.
Then I will investigate with our unit president.
I can send you the dates.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're open for suggestions, and that's a very good one.
Yeah, the rolling year is a good one.
So,
All right.
So if I do at this point, I just hold on, and then if we have any other input between now and next board meeting.
Okay. That'll work. Any other questions? All right, let's move on. Discussion, planning, other business?
I just have a question, when are we gonna get the favorite topic of the governor's budget analysis? Is that coming next month?
That would be the next meeting, if we get on the agenda. It's not exciting.
Okay. That's it? Good. Let's get the, board agenda planning. Who's next? You. So that would be looking at.
Hey.
Okay, so let me read on the side.
And I'm John.
Let's do,
Stronger together.
yeah, All right, that's it. All right, meeting adjourned, thank you so much.